I'm Hanna Schulze from People First Economy. Thank you for being here to discuss this very important issue. The Michigan Business for Democracy State Collaborative is composed of business organizations and individual businesses, small business owners, that understand that a strong democracy is essential for a vibrant entrepreneurial economy where small businesses and communities flourish. The two go hand in hand. We are raising the alarm about losing our democracy. Some state legislatures have or want to allow state and national officials to ignore the will of the people and establish a one-party rule, an autocracy. A previous administration and current members of Congress have intentionally misused the law of presidential electors vote counting to attempt to deny the public's will. The Business for Democracy state collaboratives are using the trusted voice of small business to elevate the issue of democracy and the need to pass voting reforms in Congress to protect both our democracy and our economy. We are not endorsing candidates. We are advocating for congressional and statewide candidates to support the reforms needed and are educating the public and small business leaders on the issue and candidate positions. Michigan is one of 8 states involved in the Business for Democracy Collaborative. The others are Arizona, Ohio, Pennsylvania, California, Wisconsin, Nevada, and North Carolina. Business for Democracy is a campaign of the American Sustainable Business Network. Let me introduce the co-leader of our collaborative, Mike Shesterkin, Executive Director of the Southeast Michigan Sustainable Business Forum, who will make a few remarks.
Thank you, Hannah. It's a pleasure to be here today. On January 6th, 2021, the world witnessed the chaos that gripped our nation's capital. What took place that day was clearly an attempt to overthrow a duly elected president. On that day, we came close to losing our democracy, a system that has served us well for more than 200 years, a system many have given their lives to protect and maintain. What we could have become is an autocracy, which is what happens when a cabal of sycophants and courtiers, led by one person, control the levers of government. Had the insurrectionists succeeded, democracy would have died, and only those who pledge fealty to a supreme leader would be in control. Under autocratic rule, politically disloyal small businesses are forced out of the marketplace. They lose access to capital. They fall prey to trumped up legal charges. They become delisted as corporate subcontractors and are stricken from government contract opportunities. Small businesses lose any sense of agency. Small business leaders either fall in line with those who hold power or lose all of what they worked so hard to create. Following the 2020 election, Michigan also came very close to the same sort of chaos that gripped our nation's capital. Michigan has an old, ambiguous law that governs the certification of the popular vote by canvassers. In 2020, we narrowly avoided disaster when one sole canvasser voted to certify the presidential election. We can protect Michigan's democracy by passing Proposal 2. Proposal 2 will require the State Board of Canvassers to certify election results solely on the outcome of the popular vote. It would also end unnecessary and burdensome restrictions on voting rights and access. Proposal 2 is good for democracy, and it's good for small businesses. Let's pass Proposal 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you for being here to represent your community on the southeast side of Michigan. Next, I want to introduce Alysha Lach, the owner of Little Space Studio, a prominent business in downtown Grand Rapids, and the host of our meeting today.
Thank you, Hannah. My name is Alysha Lach. I'm founder and CEO of Little Space Studio, a shared workspace for creatives, freelancers, and remote workers centered in the Hartside neighborhood in downtown Grand Rapids. Even though our area is heavily populated, it has had historically low participation in all elections for decades. It is not that our neighbors do not care about elections. The truth is, even as citizens, many of them have varying reasons why participating in our voting system may be difficult. Some work many odd hours and have trouble making it to the polls. Many live with disabilities that make travel and participation on all levels difficult. Neighborhoods like ours exist all across America. Unfortunately, there are those in elected office or aspire to be elected who want to make it more difficult to vote, not easier. This is not democracy. We need our elected officials to protect our democracy and make voting by registered voters easier, not harder, or even not at all. The 3 bills we support in Congress will provide the foundation for a firm and lasting democracy. As a business leader and community advocate, I am hopeful that the enactment of these bills will not only allow our neighbors to feel more empowered to participate in our elections, but encouraged to. Their voice matters equally and without question. That is what democracy is all about. The voters, not politicians, deciding who wins elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Alysha, and thank you so much for hosting us today in this wonderful space. The Business for Democracy Collaborative conducted a survey of all the Michigan candidates for the U.S. House and Senate, both Republicans and Democrats. We used this survey as a litmus test for determining if a candidate would support protecting democracy if elected to Congress. We asked if they would support 3 congressional reform bills that would provide firm and stable support of America's democracy. These bills are the Electoral Count Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and the Freedom to Vote Act. There is a description of these bills in the handout. We will make sure that that PDF is shared amongst our listeners and watchers today. Again, all 3 of these bills, reform bills, are bipartisan, and they are specifically written to protect our democracy and the integrity of the electoral process. All congressional candidates were contacted about our survey multiple times by email and phone call. Here are the 4 Michigan candidates for the U.S. House of Representatives who completed our short survey and indicated that they would support each of these bills. Jerry Hilliard, Dr. Bob Lawrencer, Carl Marlinga, and Bart Goldberg. We invited each of these candidates to be with here today, not as an endorsement, but to show our appreciation for their support for protecting democracy should they be elected. Most had scheduled conflicts, so couldn't be with us, but we are pleased to have Mr. Jerry Hilliard here with us today to speak on this issue. Jerry, if you could please say a few words about your support.
Hi, I'm Jerry Hilliard. I'm running for the 2nd Congressional District in Michigan. Our district stretches from the northeast corner of Manistee County down to the southeast corner of Berry County. It's 20 counties, parts of 20 counties, not all of them. In that 20 counties, Kent and Muskegon rural areas in those 2 counties are part of the 2nd District. I am an MBA. I've ran for office before, but most of all, I just want to make sure that our democracy survives. Without passing these 3 laws, Electoral Count Reform, John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and the Freedom to Vote Act, small businesses and farmers and other entrepreneurs, their livelihoods will be in jeopardy. Without democracy, 1 or 2 people will run every industry. And we're almost at that point now. We have so many big corporations that don't have to compete, and without democracy, we'll never be able to make them compete with each other. Farmers and small businesses have to compete every day against the competition. But big businesses, they just buy up all the competition. If we're going to conquer inflation, which is one of the main problems we have right now, we're going to have to do it through creating more competition for large corporations. We could play around with interest rates, but when we make interest rates higher, we make it harder for working people, to buy things like houses, like cars, like starting a business. It's harder with higher interest rates. And big corporations don't get affected by this. So if we're gonna protect our small businesses and farmers, we need to pass these democracy laws. And we also need to do some other things. Mostly we need to start enforcing our antitrust laws. Antitrust laws create competition amongst industries that are consolidated so much that they don't have to compete with other companies in their industry. And if we can do that, the laws are already on the books to do that, and we've done it before. If we can do that again, we can get back to where working people have a good life again. We had that before. When we had strong unions, we had that before. When we enforced our antitrust laws, people could make it and live a good life and not have to worry about paying all their bills, their mortgage and their car bills, and even food, paying for food. So these are really important laws that we need to get passed, and I implore you to vote for the people that will support democracy and support small businesses and support farmers. Thank you very much. Jerry Hilliard, 2nd Congressional District in Michigan. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Jerry. It is evident that participation in our elections not only affects our ability to have representative elected leadership, but also it means that we can address some of these other major issues that are affecting our communities at the root of the problem, at the root of these causes. We need more business leaders, particularly, to have voices in what happens within our legislature, and small businesses are our trusted leaders in our community, as is evidenced by these experts sharing their stories as to why this is important. This November, voters will have a choice. They can choose candidates who support democracy or those who want to deny the will of the voters. They can choose our vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystem in our economy or head us down the road to an economy that favors big corporations, not small businesses. Democracy and our economy are on the ballot, and I want to thank you for being here today and for each of our presenters for being here and talking about this important initiative.